Travis Kelce gets emotional when Taylor Swift talks about Father's Day on podcast. Travis Kelce appeared with his famous girlfriend, Taylor Swift, in a setting that couldn't be more intimate and ordinary. With the familiar turquoise logo in the background, New Heights, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce was prominently displayed on the large screen behind. The initial atmosphere of the show was filled with laughter, humorous juggling and interesting behind-the-scenes stories of these two famous characters. Taylor sat comfortably in a short white dress with metallic trim, shining with a luxurious style mixed with a bit of classic. She smiled, chatting intimately with Travis, who was wearing a black t-shirt with colorful prints and the words, "Perks of Love," prominently displayed. Travis looked relaxed, not knowing that just a few minutes later, he would experience one of the most emotional moments ever recorded in the history of podcasts. As the talk turned toward Father's Day, an annual celebration of fathers across the country, Taylor suddenly became serious. She turned slightly toward Travis, placing her hands on her knees as if preparing to say something important. "I know we're going to have a light-hearted Father's Day," she began, her voice light. "But I really couldn't pass up the opportunity to talk to everyone about what I'm most grateful for, the people who raised us to be the people we are." Travis paused. He raised his eyebrows, unable to hide his surprise. His eyes seemed to ask, "What are you going to say?" "I don't know how to explain it," Taylor continued, "but every time I watch you take care of your grandchild, or just listen to you talk about your childhood, about how your dad taught you responsibility, I feel like I've received a little of that." The atmosphere in the studio slowed. Travis, still trying to keep his smile on, tilted his head a little to hear better. "I think there are fathers who aren't necessarily perfect, but they plant a seed of a way of life, and it's from that seed that people like you grow up, strong and warm and honest." Travis blinked. His hands rested on the armrests of his chair, twitching slightly in a sudden reflex. Those watching the live show could easily see his eyes redden for a brief second. He said nothing, just smiled, but it was no longer his usual carefree smile. Taylor didn't stop there, but suddenly changed the subject. "So if Uncle Ed and Scott were listening to this podcast today, and you had only one sentence to say to him on Father's Day, what would you say?" The air seemed to stop. Travis froze for a few seconds. His hands dropped from the arms of the chair, his eyes widened and he blinked. He was clearly unprepared for this question, and not because he didn't know what to say, but because he was trying not to let his emotions get the best of him. "Wow," he said, and took a deep breath. A long moment passed. Taylor was silent, her eyes knowing. She didn't need to be prompted. She gave Travis the space to feel, to be honest, and to open up. I would probably say, "Thank you for never giving up on me," Travis said, his voice shaking slightly. "There were times in my life when I felt like I was lost. But Dad was always there, not with words, but with actions. He drove me hundreds of miles to show me a better college. He sacrificed his weekends to watch me practice, even when I was just a walk-on." Travis paused. He wiped the corner of his eyes with his hand. Taylor put her hand on the table, saying nothing, but nodding slightly, as if to give him strength. "I know you don't show emotion often," Taylor said. "But today, when you said that, I think it was not only touching for your dad, it was for the millions of people watching."